And I think that the European Central Bank is in grievous trouble. And I think that the Eurozone is going to break up. Now, I don't know when it'll happen, but it's going to happen. Because Germany and France refuse to support the rest of them, which comes as part of the package. And they're mad because they didn't participate in these great gains and these booming economies that those others had. Greece, Spain, Ireland, England's on its own because it's not in the European Central Bank. But the point is, they've missed the boat, and the only thing they can do now is race as fast as possible to lower interest rates to 0.5 or 0.25% and increase the money supply right now by 20 to 25%. If they're unwilling to do that, Europe is about to go into a deflationary depression immediately, if not sooner.
Jerry in Idaho. Hello, Jerry.
Hi, thank you. I'm a long-time listener, subscriber to Bob's newsletter. Bob, in the new budget Obama's proposing, he's proposing several tax increases, but nobody seems willing to speculate. Can you research what those are when the budget's passed and maybe write about it in your newsletter?
I certainly will, and we'll have probably reams of stuff about it, but actually I'm not privy to it right now. Maybe you are, Robbie. Do you know?
Yeah, cigarettes and beer.
Cigarettes and beer, I mean,
Let's turn all Americans into criminals.
Well, geez, the mafia is going to go, they're going to have parties every night of the week. You know, they'll hijack vans, these big trucks full of cigarettes.
Sure.
And then they'll sell them not for $10 a packet, which they're going for now. They'll sell them for $8, and everybody will buy their cigarettes out of the back of the truck.
Yep.
Well, these
people in Washington are morons.
What were you going to say, Jerry?
I'd say the rednecks up here in the mountains are going to go to war over the tax on beer too.
Oh yeah.
Bad idea.
Make your own, brother.
That's a thought. Thanks, Bob.
The mountain people know how to do everything.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, they've faced the revenuers before.
And they shoot straight too.
Yeah, they do.
Did I tell you about my experience buying farmer's milk?
Yes.
Raw milk?
Yes.
Where they have to stash the milk in the back of the store. It's like buying hooch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's
what we degenerated to in America. And it's tragic. And it's the Americans' fault for allowing it to happen. And they're going to pay dearly for it. It's too late. We're going eventually into deflationary depression. We're going to have a third world war. They'll invade Pakistan, and it'll become reality within the next 8 months before the year is out. And that'll be the feint to the left, so to speak, by government to take the pressure off of the economy economically and financially, because we got a third world war going. And so everybody will be looking over there and wonder, am I next? Am I going to have to go over there and fight a bunch of Pakistanis or whatever the heck tribe they're called over there? And so they're going to be more worried about their kids and their grandkids, whether they're boys or girls, going over to meet the challenge of the Khyber Pass or whatever. And that's the way this thing's going to go. And as John said earlier, many people who are middle class are now in soup lines. They have no home. They have no cars. They got no job. And they're not dumb. And from there will come the seeds of revolution. And it's going to happen in America. And all these people in the Illuminati on Wall Street and in Washington who think they're going to get away with it, we got a big surprise for them. They're not. And we're going to try to save them from the mob so we can incarcerate them indefinitely and confiscate their ill-begotten riches.
I don't want to spend any money to feed them.
Well, then you can hang them if you want.
Bob, if you would, explain deflation. What is it, and why is it happening in England, or why is it happening in Europe right now?
It's for the same reasons that happened here. A real estate boom in England, as bad as the one we had here, using all the same stupid rules, the same in Spain and in Ireland. These are outstanding examples. Incidentally, Germany, real estate never went up at all, for the last 15 years or more. In France, it went up a bit in certain places along, the Mediterranean coast, Provence, places like that. But they didn't have the wild speculation, nor did Holland and Belgium. Belgium's had a governmental problem. They had 2 years they didn't have any government at all. And so they just all did the same thing. They lowered interest rates, made loans to people who shouldn't have had them, and now they're all stuck with them. And there's nationalization going on in England, which is outside the Eurozone. And England is bankrupt. America's bankrupt. Spain is bankrupt. Ireland's bankrupt. Greece is bankrupt. Italy is on the verge.
Why?
They're cutting prices in Europe on appliances by 35%. Rentals have come down between 20 and 35%. Unemployment is 15.6%, and that's official. And the government's looking for 20% before the year is out. That's official. Can you measure what the real numbers are?
Aside from the puppet governments out there on bended knee to the banks, whether they be the European Central Bank or the Fed Reserve in this country, how much of a groundswell is there right now, Bob, and how much pressure to dump these banks that got us into this problem in the first place? This is the silence on this issue is almost deafening.
Well, they're silent because they're dumb. I mean, we have 50% of Americans who are illiterate. Now, what do you expect? Now, even among the people who still have jobs, who are in the middle class and upper middle class, they don't want to say anything because they don't want to lose their job. I mean, just like the people who went to the Tea Party, I didn't see anybody writing their names down, giving it to somebody so they could work on some other projects. They went out because they were mad about taxes and other things. But they're not going to do anything about it. They're going to try to let people like you and I do it. In fact, our message is even more important to foreigners than it is to Americans, because our message is so unique, in truth, about everything, not only in America and other countries. People are learning much more, and they're more liable to act in foreign countries than they are in America. They're not as soft.
800-313-9443. The lines are wide open. Gentlemen, there's a long pause waiting for that other shoe to drop. What can we be looking for in the near future? We'll discuss that when we get back.
Loan modification.
Bob, you mentioned John Williams, and he said that he pointed out that the total job loss the government reported on Friday wasn't just 80,000, it was 147,000. The previous 2 months of job losses have been greatly understated, forcing the government to revise them by a combined 67,000. And he says that these huge revisions are no accident. They are just the consequence of the government continuing misuse of seasonal adjustments. He said that if the process were honest, the differences would go in both directions. Instead, the differences almost always suggest that the seasonal factors are being used to overstate the current month's relative payroll level as seen last month and the month before. And his analysis showed that the job numbers have a built-in bias based on the model that makes the assumptions about birth and death rates. Without these distortions, he calculates there would have been an additional job losses of 135,000 in February and 142,000 in March. And he says, fourthly, and most important, as you probably know, the government excludes discouraged workers from its count of the unemployed, and the definition of discouraged is highly questionable. Anyone who's not looked for a job in just the past 4 weeks. And his conclusion, The true unemployment rate in America is not 5.1%, it's 13%, or over 2.5 times worse than officially reported. Now, our figures are a little bit higher than that, a little over 19%. And folks...
Yeah, but you don't have up-to-date figures there. His latest figures on the U6 are 19.8.
Okay, so they're revised upward from 13.
No, it's 15.2. And then they made some adjustments to take it up to 16.2. So the U6 officially is 16.2. So anybody who is on Wall Street or in government who has half a brain in their head knows that really unemployment is 16.2% if you use the formula that's been used and the birth-death ratio since 1980.